Hey everyone, Jeff Mackerlin here, and today I want to talk about the magic of OpenG tuning. I'm going to show you 4 key fingerings that really open it up and get you into it right away. As a lifelong Stones fan, I remember being really perplexed when I was younger trying to figure out the great tunes like Can You Hear Me Knockin' or Brown Sugar or Tumblin' Dice and trying to figure out what he was doing. I would see videos of him playing and I'm like staring at it and none of those fingerings made any sense to me. And there's a real sound to these tunes. I'm trying to work this stuff out and it's not stretching like that. Then I remember reading in a Guitar Player magazine that he tunes to OpenG, and that was something I'd never even heard of before, so I thought I'd give it a shot. And the world of Keith Richards and OpenG tuning opened up to me. Zeppelin tunes, Peter Frampton tunes, ZZ Top tunes, all sorts of things that were in OpenG suddenly made sense to me. So first, what is OpenG tuning? Well, we want to tune our guitar to an OpenG chord. G is spelled G-B-D. So we're going to play our low string. We're going to tune that low E string down to D. So we're going down a whole step. Next one is going to be our 5th string, is the A string, but we're going to bring it down to G. So the quick way to do this is to play your low E string and your D string, tune this down so they're in unison. Our 5th string is the A string, it goes down a whole step to G. And I can match it to my 3rd string, which is a G string. Since G is spelled G-B-D, the 4th string, the D string, stays the same. Of course, the G string would stay the same. The B is the 3rd. Going to keep that the same, and our high E string goes down to a D as well, down a whole step. So I can tune these in octaves. So if I'm up at E, right? Same thing on the A. Bring that down to match my D string, and I can also do the same thing here in my high E string. If I was up to E, bring it down so it matches the tuning. A little trick when you're tuning from standard tuning to open tuning, sometimes it takes the neck a second to settle, so you might have to tune it once or twice. Now here's what it sounds like. Okay, now we hear this low D on the bass, which is the 5th of the chord. It's a little heavy in the low end, so what Keith Richards does, and it's kind of funny when you see these videos, famously, he removes his low E string, so he has a 5-string guitar, and it's just G, D, G, B, D. So I'm not going to do that. It's not that important to me. So I just try to avoid playing the low string whenever possible. So as promised, let's check out those 4 fingerings. The first one is going to be from the 5th string all the way up to the high string. It's an OpenG chord. Now, this gives us a 1-finger chord at this point. If I want to go to the 4 chord, which would be C, I just bar at the 5th fret. So what's going on, since our 5th string is tuned down a whole step, this would normally be like a C bar chord, right? But we have to bring this up a whole step, and that becomes the C, G, C, and E, a C chord. And we tune the high E string down a whole step, so this is a G. If we bring it up, now it's a G, because it's tuned down a whole step. There's a full C chord, so the notes would be C, G, C, E, G. We want to go to E chord, D chord, C chord, B flat, A, to G. So it's really important to see that. How do I see the root of that? Well, I can either imagine I'm down a whole step from where my 1st finger is, or I actually just see it on the 3rd string. There's my root right there. So let's check out fingering number 2. This gets us right in the ball game right away. I'm going to go up to the 12th fret. It's a G chord, isn't it? So now what I'm going to do is this move. It's a ton of Stones tunes. It's Start Me Up, does that same kind of move. Of course, Brown Sugar. So now what I'm playing is a G chord. And I'm going to put down my 3rd finger on this E note on the 14th fret. And I'm going to put down my 2nd finger on the 13th fret of the 2nd string. So that chord actually becomes a C major chord with G in the bass. So C/G. Now, Are they thinking G, C, G, C, G, C? I don't think so. I really hear it, although it is a C chord with G in the bass, I hear it as a nice ornamentation on that G chord. I'm still hearing down here. Tons of tunes, right? So you already hear that as sort of a nice cool ornament on a G chord. The cool thing is I can move that shape anywhere. So let's go back to that 4 chord, the C chord on the 5th fret. I'm going to play that same shape. So once again, it's going from really a 1 to a 4 chord. So what's the 4 chord of C? That would be F. So I'm here, I'm going to an F chord with C in the bass. Or is it just an ornamentation of C? There's a lot of ways you can look at it. I kind of just look at it, if someone's doing... I hear that as an ornamentation on the C chord. Let's do that on my 5 chord. To the 4, to the 1. Before we keep going, I want to say thank you so much for checking out this video. And if you like my channel, please like and subscribe. It helps out quite a bit. If you'd like this background track, it's available for you free with the link used above or below, along with a ton of other background tracks, also high quality blues background tracks, and all my courses over at JM Guitar Lessons, like mastering major triads, mastering minor triads, soloing with major triads, and much, much more. So please check that out, the link below. Fingering number 3. This is another cool move that I hear the Stones do. It took me a little while to hear this one over the few years, but it does this one quite a bit. So what's going on here, let's say we go to our 4 chord, that's our C, and now we're going to play this D, and we have an F. So note-wise, we have C, G, D, F. It's kind of like a G7 chord a little bit, right? So if I think about G7, in this case, so it's a bit of a 5 chord. So it's a really interesting sound. So something like Brown Sugar is going to do the move of this, the 1 chord, to this 4 chord, with that ornamentation right there, like the G7. You can move that one around as well. The cool thing is you can kind of mix those up. So here's the first one. Now, the second variation. My 5 chord. So I can really kind of experiment and start mixing all of those up for some really cool sounds. It's up to you. And if you listen carefully, I highly recommend you learn Can't You Hear Me Knockin', and certainly Brown Sugar. Those are the big ones for me. Honky Tonk Woman too, but Can't You Hear Me Knockin's got all the really, really cool stuff. And of course, it's one of the greatest rock and roll songs of all time. The final one that we hear sometimes in the Stones tunes on our 4 chord would be something like this. Right, so there, really kind of another cool sound. Playing the C bar chord again, borrowing my first finger, and I'm going to put my pinky, or third finger, whatever works for you, on this F sharp, and it gives us this sort of cool C major with a sharp 11. It's a bit of a Lydian sound. I don't think Keith was thinking about that being Lydian necessarily, but it's a really interesting sound, and it works really nicely. Right? So of course with open tuning you can also play slide guitar because the slide becomes one finger, and by tuning to an open chord you can slide that slide around, but that'll be a different video. Here is just sort of this magical thing, these 4 fingerings that get you into Keith Richards and the Stones and Zeppelin and Peter Frampton and the Faces, lots of things really quickly. You can hear it right away. You start messing around with this, suddenly all these songs start popping out in your head like, oh man, that's that tune, that's that tune, and that's that tune. Thanks so much for checking out this video. I hope you enjoy it. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Go over to Jam Guitar Lessons and check that out. And until next time, I will see you then.